How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, be sure to subscribe. Go check out my last video to learn a little bit more about this channel. For today's video, I'm going to be doing a baking video on one of my most popular items, which is a pumpkin roll. This is a family recipe, so if you want to learn how to make my family's recipe of a pumpkin roll, keep on watching. So you're going to need some pumpkin, flour, sugar, eggs, baking soda, and some cinnamon. So as you can see here, I'm going to go ahead and add the 3/4 flour. I'm going to add in 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, and I forgot to add in the clip that I did add in 1 cup of sugar. And then I'm going to go ahead and add in a teaspoon of baking soda. And then right here, I'm going to go ahead and add 11 tablespoons of pumpkin, which also equals out to be 2/3 cup. While you're doing this, go ahead and make sure that your oven is preheated to 350 degrees. I'm going to go ahead and add in the egg right on top. I'm going to add in 3 of those. Once all of your ingredients are together, go ahead and get that mixer and get everything blended in very, very well. You don't want to have any chunks because it will cook oddly when it's in the oven. Just make sure everything's mixed in there. Take your time. Make sure it's nice and smooth. So now that that's all blended together, what I did is I grabbed a medium-sized cookie sheet and I went ahead and added some wax paper on there that as well had some vegetable oil cooking spray. What we're going to do is we're just going to take everything in that bowl and just pour it right onto that cookie sheet. You don't have to worry about making anything pretty. We're going to do that here in a minute. So go ahead and get everything spread out. Make sure you're getting to the edges. What we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and hit this on the counter quite a few times. You want to make sure that you're dropping it enough to where the pumpkin mixture becomes completely smooth inside of the cookie sheet. Okay, now that it's all set, we're going to go ahead and throw that bad boy right into the oven. We're going to go ahead and set the timer for 15 minutes. While that's cooking, we're going to go ahead and do the cream cheese filling, which is going to be some of the cream cheese, the sugar, the butter, the vanilla. So right here, I'm going to go ahead and add in a cup of confectionery sugar, a half teaspoon of vanilla, 8 ounces of cream cheese, a half teaspoon of cinnamon, and then here I'm going to go ahead and add in all of the butter, which is going to end up being 4 teaspoons. Make sure all of this is softened just because it'll be a lot easier to mix with the blender when the cream cheese and the butter are softened. So now go ahead and mix all of that together. Just like the pumpkin roll, you want to make sure that nothing is clumpy. You want to make sure it's all smooth, so definitely take your time with this part. Make sure you scrape all the edges and just work at it until it's completely smooth. So now that all that's blended in, we're going to go ahead and throw that in the fridge. And now I'm going to go ahead and put some wax paper down. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle some confectionery sugar on there. That way, once the pumpkin roll is out of the oven and we go ahead and put that on this paper, it's not going to stick. If you don't do this, there's a good chance that the actual pumpkin roll mixture will actually stick to the paper and it just won't turn out as pretty. So don't be afraid to use quite a bit of this. It will just end up absorbing into the pumpkin roll mixture, so you won't see it as much. Now that the pumpkin roll is out of the oven, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and tilt it on its side, and we're just going to gently place that down onto the sugar. And don't worry, there definitely is going to be extra. Now I'm just going to pull the pan up, and we're going to pull that paper off of there. Like I said, this is definitely crucial and why you want to make sure that your pumpkin roll mixture is nice and flat inside the cookie sheet. So now it's going to be super easy to pull off because of the vegetable spray that we put on there. So now that that's all off, I'm going to go ahead and add in more confectionery sugar. That way when we roll this up, nothing sticks. Again, add a generous amount. Then once said and done, I realized that I added too much. So I'm just going to go ahead and wipe off the excess. Now I went ahead and cleaned up all the confectionery sugar. As you can tell, I used way too much. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start rolling this while it's warm. So I'm definitely going to make sure it's tucked in tight. Don't worry about the excess because we will be taking care of that. So go ahead and just tightly roll that up. Now we're going to go ahead and put this in the freezer for about 20 minutes to cool. Now everything's cooled down, we're going to go ahead and grab the cream cheese filling from the fridge and grab the pumpkin roll from the freezer. We're going to go ahead and unroll this. Like I said, with that confectionery sugar, it helps everything not to stick. Now we're going to go ahead and take that cream cheese filling, and we're going to go ahead and just plop it right on the pumpkin roll. So now that it's all on there, you kind of just got to work at it until it's all nice and even to where you want it. It doesn't necessarily need to be completely pretty. You just want to make sure it's even. You just want to make sure it's evenly dispersed throughout. Make sure everything's covered even. That way, whenever you go to cut this, it actually looks nice and pretty. Now, this is going to be a little bit difficult for some, but this is why we did the sugar on the outside. So you're going to start rolling this, and I use the paper just for a guide. You want to definitely tuck it in there and kind of press and roll as you're going. You can see that I'm using the paper as a guide. And like I said, with that sugar, it just absorbed into the pumpkin mixture. So we're just going to keep rolling this. As you can see, I'm still using it as a guide. At this point, it's pretty much rolled up enough and tight enough to where I can use my hands. And here I am using my hands to finish off rolling this pumpkin roll. And there it is, guys. There is the famous homemade pumpkin roll that everybody asks me about. Thanks everybody so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. Comment down below if you're going to end up making this pumpkin roll, and if you did make this pumpkin roll, how did you do? Also comment down below what you'd like to see me bake next. Give me a challenge. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications to get notified every time I post. Until next time, I'm out.